Vatican archives, whenever they're going to be opened, are going to reveal extraordinary levels of details.
Deep within the Vatican's complex hallways, the Codex Gigas, infamously known as the Devil's Bible, contains a dark, full-page depiction of the devil that chills those who behold it. This is just one of the many mysterious and unsettling artifacts kept under strict lock and key. Why are the Pope and high-ranking authorities so wary of opening these doors to the public?
We are
now inside the Nicolina Chapel, the private chapel of the Pope.
Join us as we uncover the terrifying entities and hidden secrets the Vatican is determined to keep from the world. Number 1. Angels, Giants, and the Devil's Codex. The Codex Gigas boasted a complete Bible and additional texts, including exorcism rituals and historical accounts. Yet it was most notorious for a full-page depiction of the devil, a dark, horned figure with a forked tongue. This stark, unsettling image juxtaposed sharply with the sacred texts surrounding it. Legend had it that a monk, facing execution for his sins against his monastic vows, promised to create a book encompassing all human knowledge in one night. As midnight drew near and the task seemed beyond reach, he purportedly sought the devil's aid to finish the book. The book was completed, but it came with a price, embedding within its pages an image that would forever echo its questionable origins. This tale, captivating as it might be, blurred the lines between authentic historical facts and medieval superstitions. It provoked questions regarding the book's purpose. Was it merely a religious text, or was it intended for something darker? The presence of the devil in the manuscript fueled endless debates about its possible use in darker practices or as a tool to instill fear and obedience under the guise of divine authority. Beyond the appeal of the Codex Gigas, another subject often associated with the Vatican's collection of artifacts concerned the Nephilim and the Rh-negative blood type.
Up to 35% of Basque people have Rh-negative blood. And Rh-negative blood is one of the most unusual blood types.
The Nephilim, described in biblical texts as giants born from the union of angels and human women, have long fascinated scholars and enthusiasts.
In the book of Genesis, it says that the sons of God came into the daughters of men. They created a hybrid offspring who are called the Nephilim, or the fallen ones.
This is tied to the intrigue surrounding Rh-negative blood, a rare type characterized by the absence of the rhesus factor, a protein typically found on human red blood cells. Some speculated that the Vatican might hold insights or even tangible evidence linking Rh-negative blood to these mythical giants. These theories, often circulated among conspiracy theorists and aficionados of the arcane, suggested that individuals with this rare blood type might trace their lineage back to the Nephilim, positing a distinct genetic branch from the general human population. While engaging as a speculative theory, this idea often lacked substantial evidence and leaned more towards pseudoscience and mythology rather than established historical facts. One of the most captivating stories linked to the Vatican was that of the so-called chained angel. According to various rumors, the Vatican purportedly held a celestial being, an angel, in captivity, hidden from the public eye. This tale tapped into the human fascination with the divine and supernatural, suggesting that the Church held sway not only over earthly realms, but also over celestial entities.
I have to wonder if the secret library at the Vatican, which they acknowledge exists, doesn't have records or chronicles about extraterrestrial contacts, but is keeping a secret.
However, this story stretched the bounds of believability. While it mirrored the excitement of a thrilling novel, closer scrutiny revealed a lack of verifiable evidence, turning it into more of a modern myth than a topic of serious academic discourse. It highlighted a broader trend of sensationalism, often surrounding stories about the Vatican, a mixture of half-truths and dramatized tales that served more to entertain and mystify than to inform. Despite the allure of these tales, they also raised important questions about the dissemination of information and the formation of legends. The Vatican, with its extensive archives and historical treasures, indeed held many genuine artifacts of significant cultural and historical value. However, the focus on such dramatized stories frequently overshadowed the more substantial and academically valuable aspects of its collections. In exploring these tales, one had to navigate a complex landscape where fact and fiction intertwined deeply. While the stories of the Codex Gigas, the Nephilim, and the Chained Angel provided fascinating glimpses into human beliefs and the extent of storytelling, they also reflected a collective interest in the unknown and unprovable. As much as they showcased human creativity and imagination, they reminded everyone of the tendency to favor compelling stories over hard evidence, myth over scientific scrutiny. Thus, the Vatican's reputation as a repository of both sacred texts and controversial relics continued to be both a source of fascination and a challenge. It drew both scholars and skeptics, each eager to uncover truths or debunk long-standing beliefs. In this revered space, the delicate balance between reverence and critical examination was constantly negotiated, driven by a quest that was as much about understanding history as it was about choosing the stories to embrace about heritage and ourselves. Beneath the Vatican, there's a legend that has captured the attention of many.
They wanted you to experience that the veil of heaven had been pulled back. And at that moment, heaven had come radically down in a way different from any other way and touched earth.
An angel, reportedly held captive with heavenly or magical bonds. Some believe this angel could prove the existence of celestial realms, while others think it may possess immense knowledge or power that the Church might want to utilize. Although there's no solid proof to back up these tales, they have been part of Vatican lore for hundreds of years. Different stories are told about this angel. In one version, it is kept in a concealed room, restrained by ancient spells or divine forces to prevent its escape. Another story suggests the angel was captured during a heavenly battle, now kept as a prize or as leverage in some divine negotiation. The unresolved vanishing of Emanuela Orlandi, a young resident of Vatican City who disappeared in 1983, ties into the more supernatural rumors. She disappeared after attending a music lesson in Rome, and despite decades of searching and speculation, no trace of her has been found. In 2019, a clue led investigators to check the Teutonic Cemetery inside the Vatican, where it was suspected her remains might be.
Police in Italy are investigating a grim discovery that may be tied to a decades-old mystery. Human remains were found at a building next to the Vatican Embassy in Rome. Some Italians believe the bones belonged to a teenage girl who vanished in the 1980s.
The graves were opened, but were found to be completely empty. This led to more confusion, especially when a photograph surfaced showing a statue of an angel pointing toward the empty graves, installed years after her disappearance.
The Vatican has opened up 2 tombs inside a tiny cemetery in the hopes of solving a 36-year-old disappearance of a teenage girl.
This statue seemed to connect to the place where her body was thought to be hidden, yet offered no answers, only adding to the frustration and complexity of the case. Next, we explore claims of alien technology hidden by the Vatican. Number 2. The Vatican's mystifying catacombs. There's also a wilder aspect of Vatican lore involving hidden extraterrestrial technology. Some conspiracy theorists and UFO enthusiasts argue that the Church has been keeping evidence of alien civilizations and their advanced technologies secret. They suggest that the Vatican's collection of ancient artifacts and manuscripts could include items from other worlds, such as high-tech devices, parts of spacecraft, or even alien bodies. Those who believe these theories suggest that the Church is intentionally keeping this knowledge hidden to control how the world understands life and technology beyond Earth. This idea paints the Church not just as a spiritual authority, but also as a powerful holder of knowledge that could impact scientific understanding and global politics. Although these stories are captivating and add an element of the fantastic to the Vatican, they need a critical examination for actual evidence, which remains notably absent. The stories thrive on secrecy and unverified claims, making them intriguing but not necessarily credible. These tales reflect and amplify the atmosphere that surrounds the Vatican, acting as both a deterrent to solid investigation and an attraction for those fascinated by the unknown. The cycle is self-sustaining. The lack of proof doesn't deter belief. Paradoxically, it often seems to make the belief stronger. Therefore, the legends of the captive angel, the missing Emanuela Orlandi, and hidden alien technology persist. They are kept alive by those who believe and those who are naturally curious, people driven to uncover hidden truths and challenge accepted realities. This mix of faith, hope, and skepticism places the Vatican at the center of not just religious, but also secular debates and curiosity. As these stories are shared over and over, they show the complex interactions between knowledge, belief, and power. Each story links to the next, weaving a complex narrative web that is as captivating as it is baffling. The Vatican has often been at the center of claims that it hides advanced technology and extraordinary capabilities. These include rumors about the possession of devices that utilize unknown energies, technologies that can counteract gravity, and even the ability to manipulate time, which some believe were derived from extraterrestrial sources. These allegations suggest that the Vatican limits access to its archives to keep its internal operations private, possibly to maintain its significant influence and control. Critics argue that by concealing such groundbreaking technologies, the Vatican seeks to preserve its dominant position in the world, maintaining control over how human history and advancement are understood. This would allow it to remain a central authority, influencing both historical context and current global dynamics without disruption to its power structure. Moving to another controversial aspect of Vatican history, we find the doctrine of discovery. This set of papal decrees from the 15th and 16th centuries allowed European Christian nations to claim lands inhabited by non-Christians. These decrees supported European colonial ambitions by providing religious justification for taking over territories and subjugating indigenous peoples worldwide. According to these decrees, lands without Christian inhabitants were considered open for taking, effectively denying indigenous people their rights and sovereignty. This policy led to extensive exploitation, enslavement, and widespread atrocities under the pretense of spreading Christianity and civilization. The long-term effects of the doctrine of discovery continue to be felt today, with many indigenous communities still fighting to regain their ancestral lands and recover from the deep scars left by colonialism. The Vatican is also rumored to engage with the supernatural, particularly through exorcism practices. It's said that there is a chamber beneath St. Peter's Basilica, out of public view, dedicated to performing exorcisms.
Various types of objects that are used to drive away unwanted spirits. Holy relics, crosses, holy water, and even exorcism itself are what the Catholic Church calls sacramentals.
This room, allegedly decorated with ancient religious symbols and relics, is supposedly designed to enhance the exorcism process, used in severe cases of believed demonic possession. The private nature of these exorcisms feeds into the broader view of the Vatican as an institution that operates behind closed doors, potentially using its spiritual authority to obscure activities that might be controversial if made public. Beneath the peaceful Vatican gardens, there is rumored to be a network of catacombs called the Catacombs of Lost Cardinals. These are believed to contain the remains of cardinals who disappeared, often linked to internal church politics, power struggles, or intense disagreements over church doctrine. The practice of burying these figures in hidden graves suggests an attempt by the Church to quietly forget about uncomfortable parts of its past. The burial of these cardinals, with their identities and stories erased, can be seen as representative of a broader pattern in the Vatican's behavior. avoiding transparency, and controlling what is publicly known to maintain a favorable image and authority. While these stories about advanced technologies and secretive practices captivate many, they also pose serious ethical questions regarding the role of such a powerful institution in world affairs. The mix of faith, power, and lack of openness has created a fertile environment for speculation and criticism. Whether these stories are true or merely conspiracy theories, the Vatican's history of privacy and its significant impact on historical and global events remain highly scrutinized and debated. The Vatican represents an entity full of contradictions, wielding substantial influence in both spiritual and worldly matters. Its actions, often conducted away from the public eye and steeped in historical authority, challenge the modern drive for transparency and accountability in leadership. Thus, it stands not only as a beacon of religious faith, but also as a complex example of the challenges faced when managing vast power and influence, especially when juxtaposed with the public's increasing demand for transparency and truth. This ongoing tension underscores the complex relationship between historical institutions and modern societal expectations. Beneath the majestic facade of the Vatican, a vast network of tunnels stretches into the darkness, raising suspicions about their true purpose. Some believe these hidden corridors have been used for more than mere transportation. They whisper of unsolved crimes and secret burials, suggesting that these underground pathways could have served as a place to hide the misdeeds of the Church. There are tales of high-ranking officials, perhaps even cardinals, whose lives ended in these tunnels under circumstances, their deaths conveniently obscured by the labyrinth below the sacred city. Now, we uncover more secrets of the Vatican's hidden archives. Number 3. The dark art within Vatican walls. Deep within the Vatican's guarded archives lies a room rarely spoken about outside hushed tones. A library filled with forbidden books. This secret collection is said to hold texts that challenge the very foundations of Christianity, questioning the doctrines that have been preached for centuries. Ancient Gnostic Gospels, heretical writings, and alternative biblical interpretations fill the shelves, hidden from public view, to preserve the Church's power to shape theological discourse. Beyond religious writings, the library is rumored to contain extensive works on occult practices, demonology, and arcane knowledge, topics the Church has long condemned. Hidden among these are ancient spell books and grimoires, filled with powerful incantations and rituals meant to remain sealed away, perhaps out of fear of the chaos they could unleash. The Apostolic Palace, the official residence of the Pope, is renowned for its grandeur and spiritual significance, but it also holds a more spectral reputation. It is said that the ghost of Pope Alexander VI, a Borgia known for his corruption, haunts the palace. Those who claim to have encountered his spirit speak of a chilling presence and an overwhelming sense of dread that accompanies sightings of the spectral Pope. His whispers are said to echo through the corridors during turbulent times in the Church, suggesting that his restless spirit may be drawn to current corruption, or perhaps seeks redemption for his past sins. Within the secure confines of the Vatican's vaults lies another eerie relic, the 30 pieces of silver paid to Judas for betraying Jesus. This cursed relic is believed to carry a heavy burden of misfortune and torment, affecting all who come into contact with it. The legend of these silver coins has persisted through the centuries, with many believing that their presence within the Vatican walls serves as a safeguard, keeping their malevolent influence contained. The stories circulating about the Vatican are rich with intrigue and shadowed possibilities. They paint a picture of an institution that is not only a beacon of spiritual leadership, but also a keeper of dark and powerful secrets. These narratives often overshadow the day-to-day scholarly and theological activities that are more typical of the Vatican's function. The line between fact and fiction blurs, creating a tapestry woven from both historical truths and speculative tales. As these stories spread, They reflect a common fascination with the unseen and the hidden aspects of powerful institutions. The Vatican, with its centuries of influence and authority, becomes a focal point for such curiosity. The public's interest in these tales is not just a quest for entertainment, but a genuine inquiry into the transparency and integrity of an institution that holds significant sway over cultural and spiritual ideologies. The narratives of hidden libraries, haunted palaces, and cursed relics not only provide a glimpse into the aspects of the Vatican, but also invite onlookers to question what else might be concealed behind its ancient walls. They challenge the viewer to explore the Vatican not just as a place of faith and history, but as a complex entity with layers that are often left unexamined. These stories, whether they are viewed as mere folklore or as veiled truths, add complexity to the Vatican's public image. They serve as a reminder of the Church's long history of balancing between transparency and secrecy, between maintaining control over religious narratives and confronting the controversies that arise within its walls. As these tales of the supernatural and the forbidden continue to circulate, they enrich the dialogue about the Vatican, casting it as a place full of unanswered questions and unexplored paths, continually captivating the minds and imaginations of people around the world. The extensive annals of church history, numerous eerie tales and peculiar phenomena have been associated with ancient relics, some shadowed by dark legends. One such artifact, shrouded in ominous repute, is the cursed relic of Judas. Legend has it that those who come into contact with it suffer greatly, experiencing intense nightmares, unexplained illnesses, bouts of insanity, and even violent outbursts. There are unsettling reports claiming that the coins not only glow with an unnatural light, but also emit soft whispers, believed to be the voice of Judas echoing his eternal betrayal. Moving deeper into the corridors of Vatican power, one stumbles upon the intriguing concept of papal doppelgangers. This practice involves using body doubles for high-profile figures, especially under threat, and it seems the Vatican might have adopted this strategy too. Historical records and accounts suggest the existence of lookalikes used to protect the Pope from potential threats, such as assassination attempts. Theories propose a secretive and well-coordinated Vatican operation dedicated to recruiting and training individuals who not only resemble the Pope physically, but can also emulate his behavior flawlessly, ready to substitute him at any given moment. This theory gained traction, especially during the later years of Pope Paul II's tenure, as noticeable changes in his appearance and demeanor were pointed out as possible evidence of a doppelganger at work. Adding to the underground city of Vatican is the rumored existence of a project straight out of a science fiction plot, the Vatican Time Machine Project. This alleged project involves a device said to transcend the boundaries of time, enabling views into the past and future. The device's description varies, with some suggesting it is a blend of ancient scripts, advanced technology, and possibly knowledge from extraterrestrial sources. It's speculated to be anything from a sophisticated quantum computer to a mystical artifact endowed with supernatural abilities. Believers in this theory argue that such a device could have been used by the Vatican to witness pivotal biblical events firsthand, like the crucifixion of Jesus Christ or the parting of the Red Sea. Others speculate that it might have been used to manipulate historical events to ensure the Church's enduring dominance. Our continues into the Vatican's puzzles archives. Number 4. Paranormal Guardians of the Unknown. Beyond the technological marvels that may or may not reside within the Vatican's vaults, the archives are also believed to house a vast trove of documents that detail recorded miracles and paranormal phenomena. While this collection may lack the allure of a time-traveling device, the documented accounts of miracles and other supernatural events continue to captivate. These records offer a place for the faithful and skeptics alike to explore and debate the intersection of faith with the supernatural. Examining these stories requires a discerning mind, as the fascination they inspire is profound. They weave together intrigue, supernatural allure, and historical curiosity. However, they also reflect a deep-seated fascination with the obscured and the powerful guardianship of such knowledge. The narratives of cursed relics, papal impersonators, and time-traveling quests challenge the boundaries between historical accuracy and the embellishments of folklore. These narratives, irrespective of their factual accuracy, paint a picture of how history and legend can intertwine, adding intricate layers to the traditional understanding of the Church's role throughout the ages. Whether dismissed as mere fabrications or considered as windows into historical manipulations, these tales enrich the cultural tapestry, blending documented events with the fantastical elements that captivate human imagination. As the tales of the Church's past continue to unfold, they invite ongoing scrutiny and interpretation, offering endless material for discussion and contemplation among both scholars and the public. Beneath the grand architecture of the Vatican, it is rumored that a vast archive exists, capturing a plethora of unexplained events that have been reported and investigated over centuries. This archive, known as the Archive of Miracles and Paranormal Activity, is said to be a treasure trove of records documenting divine interventions, demonic possessions, and other supernatural phenomena. The collection is reportedly well organized, with each entry accompanied by eyewitness accounts, physical evidence, and analyses conducted by experts appointed by the Church. The existence of such an archive raises questions about the Church's motivations. It could be argued that by maintaining control over such information, the Church manages to keep potentially destabilizing stories from undermining its authority. These records allow the Church to shape discussions and address theological debates internally without public scrutiny. For years, stories have circulated about extraordinary occurrences that defy logical explanation, such as individuals levitating, appearing in two places at once, or even encountering beings from other worlds. If these accounts are to be believed, then the secret vaults of the Vatican could contain evidence that would challenge our current understanding of the natural world. However, often these tales fall apart under closer examination, their credibility undone by a mix of excitement and the desire to uncover what might be hidden. Among the storied contents of the Vatican's secret archives is the Seal of Solomon, an ancient ring that legend says was owned by King Solomon and endowed with the power to command demons. This ring, often depicted with intricate designs, symbolizes Solomon's wisdom and his mastery over the occult. It is whispered that the Vatican possesses this ring, safeguarding it deep within its walls and possibly using it to influence demonic forces to protect the Church from spiritual threats. There are also rumors that the Church employs this ring in hidden rituals to cast out evil spirits and maintain equilibrium between the physical and spiritual realms. Yet, the plausibility of these claims remains a topic of debate, as the notion that a single artifact could wield such power seems more like the stuff of legend than reality. Adding to the Vatican's mystique are rumors of a perfectly preserved ancient pagan temple discovered under the streets of Vatican City during secretive excavations. This temple, supposedly adorned with detailed statues of gods and intricate sacrificial altars, would be an archaeological sensation if proven real. Yet, no concrete evidence has emerged, leaving such claims to dwell in the realm of urban myth. Despite the Church's storied past and its entanglements with spiritual lore, the veracity of the Archive of Miracles and Paranormal Activity remains shrouded in doubt. Is the archive a meticulous collection of the misunderstood, the fabricated, or is it something truly beyond the ordinary? Furthermore, the secrecy surrounding such an archive could be seen as a means for the Church to manage the narrative of these phenomena, ensuring that discussions about the supernatural remain within its controlled environment. The notion of hidden chambers filled with forbidden artifacts and documents certainly captures the imagination. Yet, without substantial evidence, the reality of such an archive is still a matter of conjecture. These stories, blending elements of history with the supernatural, continue to captivate and intrigue. They reflect our inherent fascination with the unknown and our relentless pursuit to understand the of our world. As tales of the Vatican's hidden treasures and supernatural archives continue to be told, they serve as a mirror, reflecting our collective anxieties and aspirations. They reveal our deep-seated fascination with the unknown and our continuous quest to demystify the world around us. Whether the archive of miracles and paranormal activity truly exists or not, the stories connected to it will undoubtedly continue to engage and mystify. But as with all tales that weave together truth and fiction, discerning the real from the fabricated remains a challenging endeavor. Hidden beneath the grand structures of the Vatican, a pagan temple lay concealed for years, discovered by officials who chose to keep its existence quiet. This revelation stirred much debate among those who learned of it, sparking various theories about the possible gods worshipped there: Jupiter, Mars, or perhaps Mithras, a deity favored by Roman soldiers. The discovery posed a dilemma for the Vatican, as acknowledging such a site could lead to questions and controversies about the Church's foundation, literally built over a non-Christian religious site. The secrecy surrounding this temple made many question the criteria used by the Vatican to determine which aspects of history to highlight and which to obscure. This approach fueled endless speculation about the Church's motives and raised concerns about what other historical truths might be buried beneath the Church's public narratives. We now reveal hidden gospels and secret conclaves. Number 5. The Vatican's hidden portrait. A quieter section of the Vatican's vast art collection, a portrait reputed to be cursed hung away from prying eyes. It depicted the anti-pope, a figure who rose in defiance against the legitimate pope during a time of great division within the Church. The creation of this portrait during such a turbulent period added to its lore, as it was believed to bring misfortune and despair to those who viewed it. As the years passed, the portrait itself deteriorated. Its fading colors and cracking canvas seemed to reflect the decline of the anti-pope's legacy. Rumors circulated among a select group of Vatican insiders who knew of the portrait's existence and location, suggesting that it was kept hidden to prevent it from fueling further discord. This painting served as a grim reminder of a contentious chapter in the Church's history, a chapter that many within the institution preferred to forget. Further beneath the surface, in the depths of the Vatican, was the sarcophagus of Saint Malachi, an Irish saint known for his prophetic abilities. According to legend, Saint Malachi had foreseen the succession of popes from his time until the end of the world. His visions were recorded as a sequence of cryptic phrases, each predicting the reign of a pope and the notable events of their papacy. The final prophecy spoke of Peter the Roman, whose rule was foretold to align with the destruction of Rome and the apocalypse. The existence of such artifacts and prophecies hidden within the Vatican pointed to a complex and often contradictory history. The Church's practice of selectively remembering certain elements of its past often appeared more driven by the need to maintain a specific image than by a commitment to historical accuracy. This selective memory prompted widespread curiosity about what other facts might be concealed by the Church and the reasons behind such decisions. The ongoing discovery of hidden truths placed the Vatican at a crossroads, forcing it to choose between preserving its traditional image and adopting a more open approach to its historical narrative. This choice was crucial, affecting not just the Church's own identity, but also its influence and authority over the global community that looked to it for spiritual guidance. As historians and the faithful alike watched closely, the Vatican's handling of its layered past became a subject of significant interest. The hidden pagan temple, the cursed portrait, and the prophetic sarcophagus of Saint Malachi each told stories of a time when the Church's narrative was not as seamless as it might have appeared. These stories highlighted the ongoing tension between maintaining historical integrity and adhering to religious doctrine, a tension that continued to shape the Church's approach to its past and its future. Navigating between historical truth and doctrinal purity was an ongoing challenge for the Vatican. As new facts surfaced and old stories were re-examined, the way the Church managed its historical narrative was closely observed. How it balanced these often conflicting demands would resonate far beyond its walls, influencing its role as a spiritual leader and a custodian of cultural heritage. The decisions made in this regard would not only redefine the Church's relationship with its past, but also shape its path forward in a world that increasingly valued transparency and authenticity in its historical institutions. Dusty corners of the Vatican's archives, whispers began to circulate about a startling discovery, a gospel thought to have been written by St. Peter himself. This ancient manuscript, known as the Lost Gospel of Peter, purportedly presented an alternative version of Jesus' life, starkly different from the stories depicted in the canonical Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. The content of this lost gospel seemed to paint Jesus in a far more human light, emphasizing his personal struggles and doubts, along with the more complex and less understood aspects of his teachings. Such details, if proven true, could potentially shake the very foundations of Christian doctrines, offering a new perspective on the religious figure central to one of the world's major faiths. Enthusiasts and scholars alike buzzed with the potential implications of such a discovery. If authentic, this gospel would challenge the uniformity of the biblical accounts, suggesting that the portrayal of Jesus' life had been carefully curated by early church authorities to fit a specific theological agenda. The notion that pivotal characteristics and teachings of Jesus might have been deliberately omitted or altered raised significant questions about the transparency and motivations of early Christian leaders. Moreover, the discovery invited a broader reconsideration of how religious texts were authenticated and chosen during the formative years of Christianity. Questions arose about who had the authority to decide which texts were orthodox and which were heretical. The existence of the Lost Gospel of Peter could serve as a prime example of the political and ideological battles that shaped the scriptures included in the Bible. The manuscript's revelation also led to wider discussions about the authenticity and origins of sacred texts. These debates delved into the processes by which the books of the New Testament were selected, scrutinizing the roles played by political power and divine inspiration in these decisions. Meanwhile, modern church politics also held their share of intrigues, especially during the time-honored tradition of electing a new pope. Rumors swirled about a secretive group of excommunicated cardinals and bishops who supposedly convened in parallel to the official conclave. This shadow conclave, as it was dubbed, allegedly engaged in ancient rituals and esoteric practices with the goal of influencing the papal election. This secretive group was believed to possess deep knowledge of forgotten spiritual practices and claimed the ability to communicate with celestial beings like angels and saints. Their aim, it was said, was to steer the direction of the papacy, guiding it toward or away from certain theological or ideological positions. Discussions about these subjects, whether focused on historical authenticity, theological implications, or institutional transparency, encouraged a critical examination of the narratives that have shaped one of the world's largest religions. They invited a reevaluation of how truth and power are constructed and maintained within one of the most revered and secretive organizations in human history. What truths remain hidden within the walls of religious institutions? Share your thoughts in the comments. Like and subscribe for more intriguing explorations into the secrets of the past.